Hey guys, Scout here with from the Hopeless Wanderer. Many of you have come up to me over the years and listened to my countless road stories and recountings of adventures and wanted to know the how, what, and whys of my adventures. So, as I get ready to start Adventure 2017, actually I'm already a few days in. You see I'm already at my mama's house in Oklahoma. I thought I would do a quick video and kind of let you guys know how I start to plan my trips. So how do I come up with an idea for an adventure? Well, for me it always starts with the destination. And that's usually wherever the next Women in the Wind International Convention is going to be held. Usually summer convention is more conducive to adventure than winter, as getting out of New York in the winter to travel can be hit or miss or very adventuresome. So next I look at how much time that I think I can get off from work. Now my job, I'm fortunate in that I can swap time, I can bank time, work earlier, put that time towards later in the summer, and use my vacation and personal time as I need to, so I can kind of put together a pretty good extended adventure. The next thing I do is I start looking at road atlases, and yep, old school, plain old paper, Rand McNally Road Atlas. They give some good roads to ride, some scenic things to stop and do. So I look at that. Harley Davidson Hogbook. As you can see, mine's pretty well. It's worn, it's used, it's been wet, it's been dry, it's got stickers on it. But as you can see here, all these yellow roads here are roads that Harley Davidson riders have recommended as scenic roads or good roads for motorcycle touring. So I look at that, then I start looking at attractions along the way. Biggest Ball of Twine, Carhenge, Meteor Craters, the Blue Whale, all these little things that are roadside Americana. I see what I can work in. National parks, monuments, local history, battlefields. I start working those in. So I start kind of molding a trip around what I think I can accomplish. And of course, I have to include a trip, stop at my mama's house, just so she knows that I'm still alive and kicking, and she kind of likes to brag to her friends that her daughter rides cross country on a motorcycle. So it's a bonus. But really what I found is the biggest obstacle to any trip, no matter how long it is, 100 miles, 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles, is believing that you can do it. Anyone can adventure if they just believe that they can. You just have to get your mind around the fact that you can do this. Our minds and the fear of getting out of our comfort zones are really the only things that limit the adventure we can have or the experiences we can have. You know, figure out how many miles you can comfortably ride in a day, and a good rule of thumb is to cut that in half. This will allow you sightseeing, extended food and gas stops. I figure that for every 100 miles of map directions, and I use MapQuest just because I'm old school, I'm going to add 15 minutes for food, gas, stretching, cooling off if it's hot. Maybe you want to stand in that store for a little bit longer, or vice versa. If it's cold, maybe you want to stand there a little bit longer and warm up or have an extra cup of cocoa or coffee, whatever. Then I figure out how much time I want to spend at each stop. Now, me, I love national parks. I love to ride the roads and get out and explore. So I allow a minimum of a half day for national parks, if not the whole day. I would rather have one really good experience at one park instead of two half experiences at two parks. So I can always plan another adventure to go see the other park and spend good quality time there, but while I'm at this one, I want to spend good quality time here. You know, and just kind of budgeting your time and not getting overwhelmed. The first big trip I took, I found that I was stressing myself out because I was thinking about the whole big picture of the trip, you know, A to Z. And I finally realized that by just looking at what I want to accomplish each day, it makes the trip more manageable, less stressful. Today, I'm going from point A to point B. Instead of, oh my God, I have 9,000 miles to go before I get home. I take it one day at a time. Today I'm going to cover 300 miles. And that for me makes the trip much more manageable in my own mind. I usually do have a rough idea of where I want to end up each day, but you have to be flexible. I mean, shit happens. Bikes break down, road construction happens, detours happen, and sometimes I may get lost or take an unplanned adventure. But that's all just part of the experience, and you have to be very comfortable with learning to roll with that and being able to adapt and overcome on the fly. I never make reservations in advance more than a couple hours. I use Expedia to make my reservations, and usually when I'm getting to that point where I'm about ready to stop, then that's when I'll start looking on Expedia and see what's maybe an hour, half hour away, and then I'll start looking to make reservations. Or I have a camping app, so if I'm camping, I can start to find campgrounds before it gets too dark. But I never make reservations because I don't know if I'm going to make it to that point. Or I may not be ready to stop by the time I get there. And usually, unless there's just something that I really, really want to stop and explore at that destination, like for me, my next stop's Roswell, New Mexico. So I know there's going to be some cool things that I want to stop and look. So whenever I get there is where I get there, and I'll know there's going to be something that I want to stop and see. Otherwise, I like to ride just until before sunset and get as much out of each day as I possibly can. For me, I love those roadside attractions, but it really is about the ride and just seeing America from two wheels and experiencing it and soaking it all in. And now going back to shit happens, I often get asked what happens if you break down and you're 1,000 miles from home. Well, what would you do if you broke down and you were 100 miles from home? You would probably call a tow truck and have your bike taken to the shop. So that's what I would do. I can have my bike towed through my insurance, which is Progressive. I have AAA, which I can get my bike towed through that. I have a HOG membership. I have roadside assistance through that. And I have the Russ Brown BAM card. Now, the Russ Brown BAM card is a free service. It's Riders for Riders. If you run out of gas, you call this number right on the back, and maybe there's somebody in the area that can run you out a gallon of gas. Or if you have a flat tire, they can come out with a trailer, pick you up, get you off the interstate or off the road, and get you to a shop where you need to be, and it's all free. So if you're going to take a long trip, I highly recommend that you check out the Russ Brown BAM card. And worst case scenario, I have a catastrophic failure. The bike can't be fixed, the engine's shot, just something that I cannot repair on the road. My plan is that I can rent a U-Haul, load the bike up, and bring it home. And go from there. But, you can't get wrapped up in the little things that could go wrong. Because something's always going to go wrong. Whether you're traveling by yourself or with a group, the bigger the group, the better the chance something's going to happen. And you have to learn to just roll with it. Because even if it's not your bike that's causing the holdup, next time it might be. So you got to always remember to kind of be gracious in those situations where somebody's bike goes down because they're already stressed out enough. They don't need somebody else adding to their stress. Now, all that being said, my Harley was not new when I bought it, and it's quite a few years old now, and it's a Harley. So I've become a decent mechanic. I carry a pretty good toolkit with me. I have learned to wrench on my bike a little bit, at least enough to where I can find the problem and isolate it. And those of you who know me, I will probably duct tape it with a big strip of orange duct tape. But, it always is a good idea to have a good working knowledge of your bike and your ride and what it's supposed to sound like and what things are supposed to look like, so that when you get on the road, you can have a good feel for what's going on with your ride. I mean, this is your life sitting right here with you. I once rode all the way back from Canada with broken handlebars. And then I rode about 9,000 more miles with broken handlebars before I could get them fixed. And I repaired them in a Home Depot parking lot with a couple of long U-bolts and a piece of angle iron, and it got me back from Canada. So I don't recommend that option, but you have to be able to adjust on the fly and be able to make accommodations for when things go wrong. The last thing I want to just say is you just have to remember, anybody can do it. You just have to believe that you can. Anybody can have an adventure. Don't put everything on your bucket list and say, someday I'm going to do that. Get out there, go do it now. We never know when our last day is going to be. There's always going to be more things that you can put in that bucket, but start taking things out. Having those adventures now while you can afford them or you can enjoy them and really appreciate them. So this is Scout. I'm going to sign off. I'm getting ready to start on the next step of my adventure. I'm going to do a video about what I pack and how I pack my bike. And if there's anything else that you guys are interested in seeing, just send me a note in the comment section and I'll try to address that in one of my upcoming videos. But after the packing video, it's going to kind of just be, I'm going to log where I've been and what I've been doing, every couple days on the road. So until then, this is Scout. I'm out, and I'm a hopeless wanderer.